Okay. Is she recording, child? All right. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This is your boy Jamari4 here once again. We are here to continue our journey through these Nightmare Tale horror stories. Now, if y'all remember, y'all saw the last one. That was amazing. That was one of the best ones that we have ever seen on this channel. So make sure y'all go check out Nightmare Tales. If y'all want to go ahead and watch them ahead of time, I mean, you can, but I say wait till I react to them if y'all gonna go ahead. But I want to support the channel. We're gonna watch. I think we're not gonna watch a multi-parter. I'm just gonna pick like I think 3 or 4 short ones, and then we'll just see where we go from there. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's see. Let's start this first one. It's called The Fisherman. So y'all already know how this goes. I don't really too much do the camping, fishing type tea. You know, that's never been my gig. But let's watch.
Many years ago, in a coastal village in Northern Ireland, a fishing boat captain sat in a local pub with a hardened deckhand for hire, briefing him on the job he had on offer. They looked up as the weather report flashed across the screen of the pub television, warning of a severe fog that was crawling in, the likes of which had not been seen for 2 decades.
I hope y'all can still hear me. See me.
Well, looks like the job is off, said the deckhand. Bollocks, snapped the captain. This is our chance to make a huge haul. If everyone else stays in port, we'll have the entire deep sea to ourselves. The deckhand, although nervous, knew he was right, and he nodded in agreement.
Girl, ain't gonna make y'all no sense to get no money if you gonna all be dead. I heed Mother Nature, baby. Shoot, especially if you're talking about it's the more than we've ever seen. It's like, why would you risk that? That's no. Let them be the dummies. Oops.
The next day before dawn, the 2 men headed out in the captain's small vessel, against all the warnings and advice they had been given.
You deserve it.
Before too long, they found the mist, or more likely, the mist found them, as it consumed their craft and led them into an eerily lit shade of deep grey that made even the stone-faced captain feel uneasy. The deckhand noticed that the compass had begun to spin uncontrollably, and started with, "Captain," before being immediately cut off. "Quiet," belted the captain. "I need to concentrate. Who knows what lies ahead of us?" After a long period of uncomfortable silence, the captain reduced the throttle, and they idled on the spot. "Here," the captain said. "This is where we fish." "Aye, Captain," the deckhand whipped back as he moved to man his station and set the nets. Over the next several hours, they hauled in catch after catch of the fattest fish any of them had ever seen. It was hard to tell exactly what they were in the dim light, but the captain knew, and he'd kept a keen eye on exactly what was coming in, and before long, their hold was brimming at full capacity. Exhausted, the men sat back, the deckhand glowing with excitement, knowing they had just hauled in a small fortune. "How did you know this spot was the one?" he asked. "Instinct," replied the captain. "I've always trusted my gut, and it's never let me down. However, I must let you know, I have a horrible feeling about our return journey." The deckhand's fine mood dissolved, and he stared piercingly at the captain, the eerie silence finally being broken when he said, "I'm ready for anything." Just as he managed to get the words out, a huge black tentacle whipped out of the water behind him and dragged him off the side of the boat and down into the cold, dark depths below. The captain, keeping a cool head, stepped back out onto the deck, clutching the boat's gaff pole, ready, waiting. Then, a huge black dome emerged at the stern. The captain balanced his stance and prepared to swing, but was caught off guard and was wrapped up from the side, causing him to drop the gaff and scream in pain. He hovered over the
Oh, Lord Jesus. You know what? Let me tell y'all something real quick. If any of y'all are old enough to remember that Mario 64 video game, and if y'all remember one of the little pictures, you used to jump into the pictures to go to the level, and one of the pictures was like a boat, and you'd be like underwater and shit. There's that red snake that used to come out the side of that wall in that game, and it's the reason today why I don't be really doing the beach like that, like getting too deep in the water. I don't do deep diving. I don't, nah. I'm scarred for life because of that video game. So this shit right here is triggering me a little bit.
Deck as the tentacles whipped back the cover to the hold and pulled out what could only be described as alien. Its tight, slick black skin squeaked against the tentacles as its own hung lifelessly beneath the coils. The massive black head of the beast then lifted
This went left very fast. Where the hell?
out of the water and brought its teeth, like the shiny steel gates of hell, right up to face the captain. "You took my child," the captain croaked. "So I came back to take yours." It was as if the creature understood.
What?
Its mind flashed back to a time 20 years ago when he had previously crossed paths with the captain. His son, whipped off the boat and eaten alive by his younger self.
Wow. So he's just being petty, but understandably petty. Because if you imagine being your dad, seeing your child get their head bit off in front of you, like, that's horrifying.
The creature faced off with the captain. The captain stared back and smiled as he watched a large blade slice down the length of its neck, spilling blood and guts all over the deck.
What?
From the carcass emerged the deckhand,
Oh,
satisfied he'd completed his job.
what?
As the dead beast slowly slipped back overboard, they both looked down at the creature's baby, which had begun to show signs of life by slowly writhing on the deck in the blood of its mother's guts. Should
What? How is he alive? What? Okay. Tell me, am I the only one that's just a little confused here? So I don't think it was an oct. I mean, I understand that some alien 20 years ago ate his son, but like, explain the alien. Like, is it just here for no reason, posing as an octopus? I don't know, child.
we throw her back, Captain? The deckhand asked. No, said the captain, and he kicked it into the hold with the other fish, secured the lid, and then powered off into the fog in search of the shore.
A little bit left. Not bad. I prefer the other one though. I definitely prefer the other one. We're gonna actually pause and we're gonna move to the next story, which is the sleepover story. So, well, child, bringing me back. All right, and we're back with the sleepover story. Oh Lord, I'm scared. I don't know what to expect with these, but that's the fun. Okay, Sam Hasten.
George yawned. He was obviously bored. He'd agreed to come round mine for a sleepover because I was new at school, and he wanted to see what kind of house I lived in, get a sense of what I was like. But I could tell he was already regretting the decision. "I thought you said you had a PS4. George's eyes flicked around the bedroom, as if he was hoping the console would magically appear from somewhere. We'd been upstairs since dinner. It explored my room, and we chatted for a bit, then watched some random shows on Netflix. Things were going okay at first, but as the last light bled out of the day and the sky outside darkened, I could tell George was losing interest. That was when I suggested we do something a bit different. Nah,
Wait a minute. I thought this was gonna go a completely different way. I thought there was gonna be like a robber or something, but now it looks like the narrator is the one that looking a little suspicious right now. Seems like he done hauled this man because he was a new kid at school and tricked this boy into his house to do who knows what. But let's see, child.
I don't have one, I said. Sorry. Are you still up for having a go at this game, though? What? Telling each other stories. Isn't that little kid stuff? George glanced at the watch on his wrist. I followed his gaze. George's watch was the first thing I noticed about him. He sits in front of me in English, and I spotted the watch after a ray of sunlight glinted off its face and caught my eye. It's a really nice watch. Most of the kids in my year have digital watches, those blocky ones that light up when you press a button on the side. But George's watch was different, more adult. It was one of the reasons I'd picked George to invite over. Hey, can I try your watch on? George looked up at me and frowned. What? Your watch. Can I try it on? It's really nice.
Who does
George stared at me for a second longer.
Because he's probably wondering what I'm doing. Wondering, like, wow, who says that? Can I try your watch on? Like, I don't even know you like that. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I don't let anyone try my watch on.
See? That's such a weird thing to ask somebody.
My dad says I'm not allowed. He glanced around the room once more, his eye going from the door to the dark window. He sighed. Okay, let's play this dumb game then. What do I have to do? Ignoring the bored look on his face, I smiled. It's really easy. We just take turns telling each other a scary story, like the scariest story you can possibly think of. Then, whoever's is the scariest wins the game. George rolled his eyes. I don't know any scary stories. Besides, I think I might get some sleep soon. I'm pretty tired. Come on, just one each. You must know at least one scary story. Everyone does. Plus, I know loads of good ones. I watched George's face for a reaction. Unless you're one of those kids that frightens easily, that is. Then I guess you might not like the game.
Oh, shit.
It was a risk, but George bid. I'm not scared of anything. I've watched horror films with my big brother that are rated 18. We even found one on YouTube that's been banned, and I...
Excuse me. That was funny. It was like, I've seen this and then 18 and girl, remember when that used to be a thing? We try to make ourselves feel like we're more mature than what we are. Trying to impress somebody, child. The ways of children.
I still watched it. I didn't say anything. I just looked back at George and smiled. After a few seconds, he let out another sigh. Fine, let's play a stupid game then. But after you're done failing to scare me, that's it. I'm going to bed.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna let this ad play and then we'll be right back. Alright, we're back.
George went first.
I just realized that this thing is 13 minutes. Ooh, we may be in for it. This may be the last part, depending on how this goes.
His story wasn't bad, in fairness. It was one he said his uncle told him a couple of years back. Nothing I hadn't heard before. Basically, there are two kids, and one of them gets hit by a car and dies. After the funeral, the mother gives the surviving kid some money to go get liver from the store, something to cook up for dinner. Because he's sick in the head, though, the kid pockets the money, digs up his brother, and removes his liver instead. Then, later that night, the dead brother rises from his grave to come and get the kid in his sleep. It's a decent enough story, but I'd heard it 100 times already. I didn't let...
Damn, that was fucked up. You were so cheap you couldn't go and get a. Well, no, he did say he was like mentally in the head or whatever. But still, damn, that sounds like I'm gonna pocket this money and then dig up my dead sibling's liver and use that. Child, imagine.
Let on though. I made all the right faces and jumped at the right parts. George got quite into it. He gestured his arms and his watch glinted in the light from my bedside lamp. His blonde hair spilled across his forehead. He was so into the story he didn't seem to notice. After it was over, he sat back and grinned. I thought you were going to start crying at one point, he said. You might as well give up now anyway. I'm not scared of anything. I looked across the room at him. The house was quiet now and had been for a few hours. When we'd first come upstairs, there was still noise coming from below. The faint sound of the TV in the lounge, the rattle of plates being put away in the kitchen, and now there was only silence. Beyond the bedroom window, tree branches rustled in the wind. The occasional car passed by on the road outside. And that was it. I grinned at George.
What?
So, you're not scared of anything at all? Nope, nothing. Not even stories that are true? George let out a bark of laughter. Ha! Nice try. Just hurry up and get it over with, will you? I'm already bored. Okay, fine. My story is about a family, I began. A family that looks normal enough on the outside, but isn't really normal at all. George rolled his eyes again. He was starting to annoy me quite a lot by now, but I didn't let on. I just carried on with the story as if I hadn't noticed. This family moves around a lot. They never stay in one place for too long. They can't, you see. The family's good at disguising themselves. They're good at hiding their secret, but they still can't go taking risks. If they stayed in one place for more than a week, they might get found out. Someone might discover what they really are. So, what are they then? George asked. I wanted to tell George not to interrupt, to just sit still and listen to the story, but I bit down the urge.
This is so weird. But I guess they're like laying down this whole premise, but this is strange. I'm like, is he talking about him? Like, uh, what is happening? I feel like there's something happening like in the background that we're not aware of yet. That's kind of spooking me a little bit.
Instead, I just grinned at him.
And this grin, I feel very uncomfortable looking at this. Because I'm like, I feel like he's trying to kill me. Like, what's happening? I'm scared.
The family are monsters, I said. They're all monsters. They travel from town to town, and they leave a trail of dead kids wherever they go. I paused, expecting George to interrupt me again, but he didn't. He only stared back at me with a dull, blank expression. The family has a very specific way of doing things, I continued. When they move into a new area, they find a house that's been left unoccupied. Not a completely empty house, just one where the people that normally live there are off on holiday or something. One that'll be empty for a week or two. The family doesn't need long. A couple of weeks suits them just fine. So, they break into this house, and then they go about setting the trap. It's their own kid they use. They send him off to make friends in the neighborhood, round the nearby parks, maybe off to the local school under a fake name. Tell him to get to know the other kids. The family is hungry by this point. Really badly hungry. But they don't do anything just yet. They've learned to be patient. I paused and took a breath. This was a story I'd told before,
What?
but I found I liked it more and more with each retelling. The trick was not to rush though. You had to savor it. I'd opened the bedroom window when we first came upstairs, and now a draft of cold air blew in. It ruffled the curtains behind George. Tree branches shook in the garden outside, the leaves whispering to each other. George watched me, not saying anything.
No shit. He's the kid. He's the monster. I bet you that's what it is. Hold on, these ads about to play.
I had his attention.
There is a huge.
The kid's parents don't have to wait long, I continued.
I feel like he's that kid. I feel like he's about to eat this little boy alive. That's just the tea that he giving me right now.
They never do. They've trained the kid well, you see. He's not just a victim in all this. He may only be young, but he knows how the game works. Once the family has been in the area for a little while, a few days, maybe a week at most, the kid makes his choice. He picks a new friend to invite back to their house. The parents give him an incentive too. He's still too young to share the tastes they have. They tell him that's something he'll only acquire when he gets older. But he still gets something out of it. What does he get out of it? George's eyes were fixed on mine as his knees began to fidget. He gets the other kid's stuff, I replied. Whoever he picks, he gets to keep all their belongings after his parents are finished with them. Somewhere in the house below us, a door slammed. George's eyes flicked away from mine towards the bedroom door, then back again.
This man, I hope he's fucking with him, because otherwise, oh shit.
Smiled at him. So, George kept his eyes on me as he tried to formulate the question. So, what exactly do the parents do with the kids they take? Oh, they eat them, I replied. They eat their insides. They tear the kids open while they're still screaming, and they pull out their guts and intestines by the handful. Wolf everything down until there's nothing left but a husk. I grinned. Somewhere below us, a floorboard creaked. The sound was faint and muffled, and I don't think George heard it.
What?
Can you imagine what someone looks like when they've had everything inside them removed? They hardly even look like a person at all. It's like the stuff a snake leaves behind when it sheds its skin. The glow from the bedside lamp made George's.
Okay, yeah, if I was this kid, I would be terrified too, bruh. I don't know if he's actually about to end this child or if he's just fucking with him. If he's just fucking with him, he's fucking with me too. Like, I'm already trying to make a exit plan on how I can jump through this window.
Skin looked pale. His lips were slightly parted as he stared at me. But how do they get away with it, he asked. Don't the parents of the kids that get taken come looking for them the next day, when their kids don't show up back home? I grinned back at George. I'd been hoping he'd ask this. Oh, the family's long gone by that point, I said.
Oh,
They vanish like shadows in the night. The only thing they take with them is the remains of the dead kid. And when their parents come looking for them the next day, all they find is a locked house that belongs to somebody else. Another floorboard creaked. It was louder this time, and we both heard it. The sound had come from the corridor outside the bedroom. George's eyes darted in the direction of the door. What was that? Oh, that was nothing, I lied. Probably just the house settling. There's nothing to be scared of, George. I eyed the watch on his wrist and imagined what it would look like on mine. From the corridor outside came the soft sound of approaching footsteps.
what? Oh shit. Whoa. Okay. Jesus Christ. That was a good build up. I was in. Were y'all in? Because I was in. I was enamored with everything he was saying. I was like, bruh, he waited too long. That little kid, he did not have the wherewithal to survive. Because I would have been gone. Once he started talking about his eyes got squinting and the way he was looking at me, uh-uh. Mm-mm. That could not be me, child. Like, but anyway, that's gonna be the two stories for this week. I'm gonna actually record. I think I'm gonna do the one for Thursday's video right after this one. Depends. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Make sure you guys tell me what you would have done in these situations. Make sure you follow me on all my social media at Jamardi4, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.